Rebel News channel, which is what I thought. I was trying to trying to find it here. We are on various other channels right now. I will reintroduce myself. Okay. Thanks to everybody who's there. We go. Yeah. Do you want to play the warning one more time for these folks? Hey.
Warning. Censorship. Warning. Censorship. Warning. Censorship. Warning.
Great. Bit of a false start there. We've been live streaming on various platforms ever since YouTube demonetized us a week ago. So our main YouTube channel with 1.45 million subscribers is demonetized. YouTube will not allow us to have any super chats. And as I was just saying, they give us no substantive reason for that. YouTube has a system where you get 3 strikes and you're out. That's what they call a violation of the terms of service. A strike. I don't think we've ever had a strike in our existence other than very briefly 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I think it was, when Global News falsely accused us of copyright violation. We fought back and won. So I don't think we've actually ever in our 15,000 videos ever broken a term of service. And yet, nonetheless, they took away all of our advertising, including our super chats. That cost us about $400,000 a year, that punishment, purely political. I asked if there was any video that had tipped us over, and our rep said no. No. And I knew that because, of course, if there was, we could appeal it and we could maybe fix it. Maybe we'd even accept, okay, we did something wrong, but we didn't. So what we're doing as a workaround is we're still streaming on our main channel because we do have 1.5 million subscribers there and we don't want to cut those people off. We're also streaming on one of our subsidiary channels, Rebel News Clips. And we're also on other platforms. What are those other platforms, Justin? And we're on Rumble as well. And we are working with other channels to add them in the future. Give me an example. We've uploaded our historical videos to Odyssey. And what about some of those other places like Twitch or D Live or whatever? So we're working on getting those others set up. And all of them together are not even as large as YouTube. All of them together are not 1% as large as YouTube. YouTube is the second largest search engine. It's searchable, browsable, shareable. And technically, it's outstanding. Rumble is an upstart, but you know they're a very small company by comparison. But we have to be on those other platforms, number one, because we need to work around this demonetization. And number two, do you think the demonetization is as far as YouTube's going to go? Or do you think they're going to kill us one day? I think they're going to kill us one day. I think it's inexorable and inevitable. On our main YouTube channel, we also have another workaround. You can see in the pinned chat, we're using Streamlabs. Is that working? Is Streamlabs working? So if you click on that Streamlabs link in the chat, you can make a super chat there. So my message to you is we're mitigating the damage done to us. And you can super chat on the Clips channel. So those are 2 ways to do it. All right, enough housekeeping. Let's get into the news. As you know, Justin puts together a list of things that he's heard me talk about or tweet about or that are in the news. Some of them are quick, little funny ones. I saw our friend Yankee Pollock, who's our Montreal-based staffer. He mainly works on social media, but he does go out and about with his camera. He's getting more and more known as a reporter, which is, I think is great. So he went out to a park yesterday in Montreal. I don't know the name of the park, but there were, it's got to be 100 or 200 kids just having fun. I mean, finally it's springtime weather. Montreal has some really nice parks, some beautiful scenery. And these kids have been cooped up. And remember, they've got that curfew in Quebec. It's from, I think it's from 5 a.m. Sorry, it used to be from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. Now it's 9:30 p.m. to 5 a.m. They treat the whole province like children. They treat the healthy people as if they're sick. They treat innocent people as if they're criminals. You know, criminals, we trust them out on bail. An accused rapist is bailed into the community. But you're a citizen, done nothing wrong, never You know, wouldn't bust a grape in a fruit fight, as Jay-Z would say. No, you can't go out past the curfew. So Yankee came upon, I don't know, 150, 200 kids in the park, just having fun, just being kids. I don't think a single youth in Quebec has died from the virus. It is not a young person's disease. The average age of the disease is 82. So these kids have negligible, they actually have zero risk in Quebec because no one's died. And they're having fun, and this one cop car pulls up, squawk, squawk, children, stop having fun. We will, and it was just laughable. Did you have that one, or you made a montage of them? Did you? Okay, this is a clip of all of them. It's that one at the beginning I really want to show, where it's still sunlight out, and all these kids, and this one, like it really is right out of some 70s movie where the cop, it reminds me of the Dukes of Hazzard, or something where this goofy cop says, now children, it's like Footloose or something, or you children stop laughing, stop having fun, I'm gonna arrest you. It's this one cop car, and this squawky woman who's threatening these kids with, I don't even think you can find children of tender years. And they're just ignoring her, and it's a beautiful sight. Enough preamble, take a look.
Just intimidation.
Oh. Une amende de 1500 $. On vous demande de vous disperser rapidement.
Oh, you don't like my cell phone? Oh, you're not talking about my cell phone, okay.
We'll stop it.
Oh, well.
I hope.
Well, I already did. It's parts of it. But you didn't want to speak to me before. Why not?
The only thing I'll say.
You're shy? The cops are moving in. That's what's going on. They're moving in. Okay.
It goes on for a bit. Yankee has an interaction with one of the cops who's quite shy to him. There's a lot of things in there. I've watched all those clips before. You can find them on our Rebel Twitter feed. I tweeted them. Yankee tweeted them. First thing is, didn't that look like fun? You've been locked down for a year. In Quebec, you got this ridiculous curfew. Schools are closed. You're living your life via Zoom. And you're out in the fresh air in the springtime, in a lovely park, in a lovely city, and you're just being human again. That looked so much fun. I mean, I'm a 49-year-old man. I would not go to a group of kids, but if there was a group of adults, I'd go. I don't care what they're gathered for. Who are you guys? What's your name? How you doing? Like, just to meet a crowd again. Aren't you sort of jealous? And if I was a kid, I don't know, how old do those kids look like to you? You thought they were yeah, I thought they were teenagers also. Like they weren't little kids. 15 to 17, yeah, high school, let's say. That's what it looked like to me. Those are kids. They're supposed to meet other kids, learn how to be part of the world. Not just, I mean, you're a little kid, okay, your world is at home, right? But you're a teenager, okay, you're getting out of the world, you're meeting strangers, you're developing social skills, you're learning how to be a person. And boy, that looked like a drink of cold water after walking in the desert for a year. And what are those kids being shooed away to do? And by the way, Yankee, we didn't play the whole clip there, but if you're interested, you can find them on Twitter, as I mentioned. Yankee mentioned that he looked at his watch at 8:11, I think, at a certain period of time. And like I say, the curfew's now 9:30. So those kids were not breaking the curfew. But the cops are coming in and shooing them away. What a big joke. Dad, you're a police officer. Did you arrest any murderers today? Did you stop any bank robberies? Did you solve any crimes? Did you foil a terrorist attack? Hey, Dad, what did you do today? Did you rescue someone? No, I went to the park and I shouted at kids. Hey, you're a hero. Let's hear it for the hero. Let's give him a nice big shiny badge. You were part of Operation Scold. Operation Get Off My Lawn. You kids get off the lawn. Those kids were, what were they being shooed away to do? To go home and play on their phones or watch some Netflix or something. Like seriously, they're in a park outdoor. You know, they weren't really exercising, let's say, but they were wandering around and chatting with people and being good kids. Like I didn't see any bad, there weren't fights. I think they were all too young to drive, so they weren't like, you know, sometimes kids get a little wild, or people get a little wild with cars and do donuts. There was none of that. There was no criminality at all. Healthy kids saying hi to healthy kids for the first time in a year, and the brave, brave cops coming in and saying, "You get off my lawn!" And by the way, the curfew wasn't even in effect. And I don't know why it sticks in my mind, but did you hear that song in the beginning? You know that song? You know, you used to be a DJ, right? That's Blue Monday by New Order. How does it feel? You know, that song, can I just get, you know, that song's on my mind. That song, you can't get it out of your mind. Do you know that song? 1983, New Order. I sound like David Menzies now, don't I? That's the #1 selling single, 12-inch single in the history of records. That song. Isn't that funny? And the kids are still rocking to it today. It is, you can't get it out of your head. And I can't get it out of my head right now, so I'm sorry I put it into yours. So yeah, that's Montreal. When they're not picking on Rebel News journalists, they literally handcuffed and arrested our journalists, and their rudest insult was, of course, "You Jews, what are you, a Jew?" Do we have that clip handy? People who didn't see us talking about it the other day must think I'm kidding. We played it Monday and Tuesday. Can you give me one? You know what? It's so weird. I mean, as I've said to you before, and I mentioned this the other day. I'm a Jew. Avi Yamini's a Jew. Other than that, we don't have any Jewish reporters. Yankee's Jewish, but he's really a web editor, social media editor. He's gone out and do a little video. So that's it. I mean, David Menzies, from west to east, I'm not going to go through the whole list. They're people of different backgrounds. Mocha is from Turkey. Link, I mean, I'm not going to get into the religion of all our people. I'm just telling you that we're actually not that Jewy. But the cops in Montreal, there's something broken there. I think it might even be my pinned tweet, if you just want to play it from there. Whenever they see Rebel News, they say, "Oh, you're the Jew media. Are you a Jew?" What is that? Like, it happened once, and I said, did I miss something? But whenever they see the Rebel media, they say, "Oh, you're the Jew media. Are you a Jew?" What's that all about? And by the way, that video, just my Twitter version of that video has been watched, I don't know. Here, let's take a look at it right now, just refresh your memory.
This is like, we're documenting what's happening here, guys.
I know, Yankee. You're Fred
So why are we getting such a tough time? We've been through this so many times with you guys.
Why is he being arrested?
Yeah, you know what? Why don't you pull up my Twitter feed, because it's the top tweet there. I just want to show you that that was from it. Just from my Twitter feed alone, that clip has been watched 144,000 times. My tweet says, something's deeply wrong with Montreal's police. They arrest, handcuff, and ticket our reporters, asking if we're Jews or Jew media. They give us $10,000 plus in fines, even though reporters are legally exempt from lockdowns. Please help us fight back at lockdownreports.com. You can see 296 replies, 1.7 thousand retweets, 2.7 thousand likes. So a lot of people have seen that video, and that's just the version that I tweeted. We have other ways and places. Of course, we have some YouTube videos also. But here's the thing. It's been about a week. It's been a week since the first Are You the Jew media, and then it's been almost a week since Are You Guys Jews, and I haven't heard a peep from anyone who I think would normally care. Is that now? Where are the human rights people? Where are the civil liberties people? Where are the don't be anti-Semitic or racist people? Where are the police? We have to, where are the critics of police? Where are the journalists? Like, put aside, they weren't Jewish. In fact, where you saw Efron Monsanto, Mocha Bezirgan, and I think those were the two of our guys who were arrested and handcuffed. I don't think a third person was. Okay, Efron, Mocha, and Lincoln. The other tickets, but Efron was handcuffed. Mocha was arrested and ticketed. I think they arrested Lincoln. I think Efron's the only one they handcuffed, right? They detained the other two. So none of those three guys are Jews. Not that it matters. They could all be Jewish. Some of them could be Jewish. None of them can be Jewish. It's irrelevant. They're not there in their religious capacity, whatever their religion is. They're there as reporters. So the Jewish NGOs should be upset about this, because since when do cops apply a religious test to their activities? That's crazy. But put aside the religion, whether they're all Jews, no Jews, or some Jews, what are you doing arresting journalists and saying, oh, you're the Jew media, come here, I'm going to handcuff you or whatever? Like, where are the journalists people? If those were CBC journalists or CTV journalists or Global News journalists, or in Quebec they have Quebecois journalists at TVA or TVA, TVA Nouvelle, sorry, that's their big news channel. That would be front page news. Like, imagine if a CBC reporter were handcuffed and arrested. They don't care because it's Rebel News, and they hate Rebel News more than they love freedom for the press. Yeah, it's really weird. But you would think there might be some Jewish group. The funny thing is, my tweet here was retweeted by Americans who were worried about these things. I'll just mention something. I'm just looking them up here. There's a freedom lawyer in America named Ron Coleman. He retweeted it. I'm just looking through. Dov Hykind, who was a New York State elected official for many years, retweeted. I'm just going through. Amrita Binder in India retweeted it. Scott Adams from the Dilbert cartoons, and he's got his own YouTube channel, he retweeted it. So all these, Dov Hykind, former New York State assemblyman, so all these Americans and someone from, are care about our civil liberties, but no Canadians? I'll mention some other names. Dan Gaynor of the Media Research Center, Harmeet Dillon from the Liberty Center in California. Actually, Lauren Chen from Montreal, she was with the Blaze. But no mainstream Canadian anybody. Now maybe, Laurie Goldstein, give him credit. Laurie Goldstein of the Toronto Sun did. I'm just looking through it. I can't find, other than those folks, no Canadians. I don't get it. Do people oppose Rebel News so deeply that they're fine with our people being arrested and handcuffed for literally just reporting? Our people were not interfering with police. They were not interacting with police in any way. They were not swearing at police. They were not touching police. And yet they were handcuffed and arrested and given thousands of dollars of fines. Where's the Civil Liberties Association? Where's the Jewish group, this and that would normally care about people being called, "Or are you a Jew?" when they're being arrested? What kind of, I don't know, I find it depressing. Not that surprising, but disappointing nonetheless. What do you think? We got some super chats going on, and I'm going to read them to you, and I appreciate the super chats because, as I mentioned, YouTube shut us down, but if we can remonetize in some other way, which we're using Streamlab, let's do it. DevNet donated $5, $37 trillion transferred from the poor to the rich last year. The Great Reset has begun. I think I saw a similar stat like that. The amount of money that the billionaires like Amazon and Jeff Bezos made versus the amount of money that working people lost. Did I miss it first? Annalisa S. donated $10. Keep up the great reporting. I was wondering if you still sell the t-shirt at your store with the cartoon drawing of Trudeau regarding your book. I need that shirt. I don't know if that's still on the store. That's the Libranos. Justin says that we'll get it up there, so thank you for that. Commie Canada donated $2.50. Operation You Kids Get Off My Lawn was a success. That was a great quip, Ezra. You know what? I don't mind people being grouchy about their own lawn. Get off my lawn, you kids. Like, I get it. But that was not someone's lawn. That was a park, right? And they're kids. And at least, how I think it's supposed to be, your kids, you want them to go to the park. Turn off the computer and go outside. Turn off Netflix, go outside. Put down your phone, go outside. Go play in the park, right? Isn't that sort of the healthy thing to do? Get some fresh air. Get some sunlight, vitamin D or whatever. Make some friends. Stop living in a bubble. If you've had school at all, it's been via Zoom. Go and be a normal human. And then and then the cops came in the end and shoot everyone away. But my absolute favorite was that loser cop versus 150. Kids, you're gonna get a huge fine, and the kids just absolutely ignoring her. And the thing is, as I mentioned in one of my tweets last night, these kids are being taught to laugh at and to disrespect the police at best, to fear and loathe them at worst. How does that help anybody? For the first 48 years of my life, definitely the first 45 years of my life, it was respect police, support police, maybe even love police. I don't know, maybe that's probably too far. But respect and support. Can you respect or support some scold? Kids, get out of the park! Kids, get out of the park! I'll tell you what, do you think those kids respect and support those cops? Or do you think that, in a way, because those kids are being criminalized for not doing anything criminal, well, if you're going to treat them like a criminal, maybe they'll start to think like a criminal, at least insofar as to disrespecting, disparaging, mistrusting, distrusting police. You treat someone like a criminal, don't be surprised if they start to act or think like a criminal. Oh, the cops are here. I don't like them. They're not on my side. Oh, the cops are here. That means trouble for me. Oh, the cops are here. That means I'm going to get some malicious ticket, some BS ticket. Instead of, oh, the cops are here. I feel safer. Oh, the cops are here. Oh, good. Who, when you see a cop these days, says, I feel good? Not our journalists, I'll tell you that. You call someone a Jew media and give them a $1,500 ticket for walking on the street. Yeah, you've pretty much set people against the cops. Like I always say, if you want to destroy the police or any other institution, I mean, look at what they've done to NASCAR. Look what they've done to the NFL. You can say, I'm going to destroy those, or you can say, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say defund the police, because that'll get people supporting the police. I'm going to turn the police against its base. I'm going to turn the police against itself. I'm going to make the police go after law-abiding citizens that used to support them. I'm going to use the police for a leftist purpose, and I'm going to destroy police respect with conservatives. That will do it. Like the NFL, no one said let's shut down the NFL. They said let's make it so woke that conservatives say I'm not interested in that institution anymore. Same with NASCAR. And the Biden administration clearly wants to do that with the U.S. military. Police, military, NASCAR, NFL, these are conservative, masculine institutions. And you don't destroy those by attacking them because they're strong. You destroy those by corrupting them from within. And I have to tell you, the strategy's working. 5 years ago, you asked me what I thought of police, I'd say, how can I support them more? If I saw a cop outside right now, my first thought would be, where's your warrant? Get off the property. I'm sorry. Because my instinct would be, they're not here for a good reason now. They're here for a political reason. I hope that ends. I hope that goes away. I hope the police return to their real job of, fighting crime instead of being scolds and political errand boys. But I've witnessed the last year just as you have. CPC Not For Me donated $2. What the hell's wrong with Aaron O'Toole? He is constantly doing his best Justin Trudeau impression on social media. I don't understand how his platform appeals to any reasonable conservative. Well, you heard him in his speech. He wants you to change. He didn't run on that platform when he sought the conservative leadership. He just surprised you with that. I can understand almost anything from a politician if it works, right? I mean, people say politics is the art of the compromise. Politics is the art of the possible. What that means is, if you want to be an impossible idealist, don't go into politics. Go into academia, go into a think tank, be a journalist, whatever, someone with no responsibility. Politics is the art of the possible. What can you actually do? So if Aaron O'Toole found some pathway that would work, if he said, all right, conservatives believe in these 10 things, or these 5 things, and if we run on all these 5 things, given the current state of affairs in Canada, our opponents, the media, the polls, the issues, if we run on these 5 conservative principles, we're going to lose. But if we lose this principle and add this principle, we can win. So it's not a perfect conservative bundle, but it's pretty good. All right, if you can show me that you're going to win with that, and you say, look, do you want to be a perfect loser or a pretty good winner? I'd say pretty good winner will work for me, and my job as a journalist is to keep pulling you back to the truth, but I get it. You gotta do what you gotta do to win. But it's not working. Do you know that page we go to on the CBC? I can send you the link. It's their compilation of polls. And most of the polls, I'll send it to you, Justin, if you don't have it handy. You got it. They call it their poll tracker. And I'm always skeptical of anything on the CBC website, but this is actually sort of a neutral site. As you can see, it just combines all the polls that are out there. So scroll down for a minute, and like even further down, you can see it's got is there any further down? Yeah, so you can see the list of polls there. So it's adding new polls every few days. So they got a Leger poll, they got a research something poll there, they got Angus Reid, Nanos, Main Street Avenue. So you see that there. So this takes these individual polls that they don't commission. They take any publicly available poll and they just sort of smooth it out, and then scroll up a bit if you please. And then they say, well, these are if these polls are right, based on the regional splits, these are how the seat projections based on these polls. So you can say, oh, I don't agree with those polls. Okay, fair enough. But they're just showing you they're showing their work, as they say. So I like this page. I find it useful, and I do not treat it with the same skepticism I treat other things on the CBC state broadcaster, because they're just saying, hey, there's a bunch of polls, let's put them together and show you what it looks like. So there's a little bit of their own input here in coming up with what they call their seat predictions. You see each of those parties there, there's a range. So given the current polling, they project that the Liberals will get 171 seats, which is a majority, but they say it could be over 200. They project the Conservatives are going to lose a dozen, but the Conservatives could actually gain some, not enough for a majority, or they could lose a ton. The bandwidth for the bloc is necessarily limited because they're only running in a certain number of seats. The NDP, you know, and the Greens, they say the Greens could theoretically win 7. I believe that. Or they could win 0. And then there's some independents. So you see on the right-hand side there, 48% chance of a Liberal majority, 43% chance of a Liberal minority, 9% chance of Conservatives winning the most seats, but they don't even get into majority or minority. I don't even think it's like 1 in 1,000 chance of a Conservative majority. And just go up for 1 second. So poll averages. So anyhow, I've just spent the last 5 minutes explaining this to you. So in the poll averages, the Liberals have squeaked up 0.2%, right? They're at 35.4. And the Tories have squeaked down a tiny bit. Oh, and you know what's interesting about this, Justin? Is the Conservatives just had their policy convention, right? And Aaron O'Toole had his big speech. And whatever media bump they were going to get, they got. And you saw what the bump did. You know, a bump typically means up, right? Like you hit a bump, I think. A bump, like a bump in the polls. Didn't happen. O'Toole went down in the polls a tiny bit. Now you could say, oh, this poll, that poll. I'm just showing you the polls. You can say I don't believe the polls. But you have polls day after day after day for 6 months saying Aaron O'Toole is not, he's not killing it, folks. Incredibly, he had his big policy convention, and he stepped on his own messaging. That's my point. He made it about global warming. No one cares. He could have made it about lockdowns. He could have made it about civil liberties. He could have even made it about dollars and cents stuff. He just didn't. Anywho, let's go back to the Super Chats. I really appreciate your support. This next one is unbelievable. Noble Canadian, $100. Thank you. Appreciate it. Papa Easy Ezra. You know, I know my Jay-Z. I'm a Drake. You know, there's someone tried to break into Drake's place yesterday. Joe Warmington had that story. Great video with David at Parliament Hill on no more lockdowns during worldwide protests. What do you think of policeonguard.ca educating people on the rights and how to handle situations using their Instagram page? Thanks, all rebels. You know what? I've been watching them out of the corner of my eye, but perhaps it's time I really focused on them. You know, I've got a few ex-cop friends, and I try not to talk about these things with them because I don't want to disagree with my friends, but they are frustrated too by what they see. I think they got into policing to protect people from bad guys. Is that not what a cop does? Daddy, what does a cop do? Protects people from bad guys, fights bad guys, fights crime. What's a crime, Daddy? Bank robbery, killing, you know, stealing. Like that's how you would explain it to a child. Who said, I'm going to go to the police academy, I'm going to get a badge and a gun, and I'm going to go shout at kids in the park because they're having fun instead of being at home watching Netflix? Who thinks that this policing is how it's supposed to be? They are murdering their reputation. Logan, $99. Well, if you're having YouTube problems, I feel bad for your son. I got 99 problems, but a super chat ain't one. I'm sorry I said those words. Justin and I have just talked many times about how bad it is when I rap. I sound like a Berkeley 300-pound white beat poet, and I'm only about 1 inch away from that anyways. So I should not rap. I should just listen to songs quietly by myself, preferably with earphones, so no one else has to experience my taste in music. So I'm sorry for the rapping I did the other day. Bust a grape in a fruit fight. That's a Jay-Z line from that's from 99 Problems. Shout out to Ezra Stan. Thanks, Logan, and thanks, Noble Canadian. Those are very generous super chats. I'm just joking around. Brackathor donated $5. Joy and pain and sunshine and rain, sing it now, God's children. I used to sing that way when I was in college. Do you know that song? Brackathor donated $5. Literally all the First Lady cop said was, is that a Jewish media outlet? And now they seem to think that's what you are. It's not exactly PC, and I get the idea of hitting your enemy with everything God, but this feels very race-baiting. Brackathor, I'm not even going to disagree with you there. I just don't get it. But they just keep saying it. And are you a Jew? What is that? First of all, how's that relevant to anything? Why do they keep saying? I don't get it. And that's the thing. I haven't been going at it full tilt. I just think it's bloody weird. I just think it's very strange. I don't get it. Therese Lemire, $2, pair character, turning around, waving a hand, saying, hey, you. Well, thank you for that. Soga for Canada donated $8. Buy a hat at Soga for Canada. Proceeds going towards Rebel News. That's nice of you. Thank you very much. Chris Lynch donated $5. Latest Nanos federal polling. How does the CPC think they're uniting the party? Pathetic. Oh, you know what? Is that latest Nanos poll on that poll tracker? Do you recall? Because that's quite dramatic polling. Liberals up 6, Conservatives down 7. NDP up 1, Green Party up 1. Those are shocking numbers. Can you click on that one? I didn't see that one. Well, thank you for this tip, Chris Lynch, because as I mentioned, that CBC page is sort of an amalgam or an aggregation or a smoothing or an average or a blending of polls. But this Nanos poll, and again, you could say it's an outlier. You could have your issues with the methodology of it. But if that really is the latest poll, as opposed to the latest poll being smoothed out and averaged with earlier polls, part of me finds that even hard to believe, and I'm a critic of Aaron O'Toole, that the gap between the Liberals and the PCs increased by 13 points. You know what I mean? In that the Liberals jumped 6, plus the Conservatives fell 7. If you find that one, it's in Nanos, I think. Yeah. Can you click on it and scroll down? Let's see what it says. Issue tracking, at a glance. Is there like a horse race number there? Probably I have a graph, right? Yeah. Can you? Okay, that's preferred prime minister. And is there party power? I don't know what they mean by power. Okay, and those are just technical notes. Can you go back up to the actual polls? Because they maybe party power weekly tracking scores. Okay, can you zoom in on this one? Like really zoom in on, yeah, and then move it over to the right a little bit. Okay, so I don't understand the numbering system. Go up to the image right above it. Thanks for your help. Now, preferred prime minister. So this is not the same as party, because as you know, in Canada we vote for a party, not the prime minister, and the party with the most seats forms the government. But this does show that in the last little while, look at the Liberal number really go up and the Conservative number really go down. Maybe I'm not reading this Nanos poll right, and I don't think a live stream is the time to really tuck into a poll for the first time because you want to be careful. But I thank you, Chris, for bringing that to my attention. That emphasizes and augments my earlier point that Aaron O'Toole did not get a bump, and it was all a self-inflicted wound. Why did he have to make global warming the emphasis? I know that some of his critics would have said, you don't have a global warming policy, and he could have said nothing about that and everything about the lockdown, civil liberties, the finances. He could have done mental health, but he could have tied that to the lockdown. He didn't. So he missed the positive opportunity. It's too bad. But he positively invited misfortune upon his own head by getting the worst of all worlds. When you say to your party base, shut up about global warming, you demoralize them. But when the party base says, yeah, nah, mate, we're not going to shut up, and they vote 54% to knock down some goofy global warming resolution, so then the rest of the country says, haha, they don't care about global. So you lost both sides. You stepped on your own messaging. That's classic Aaron O'Toole. You'll recall when I had my exclusive email interview with him about the China files, I thought he did a good job. And then Andrew Coyne said, what the actual F? Why are you talking to Rebel News? Okay, well, why not just ignore that old man, Andrew Coyne? Well, who cares what he says? Instead, Aaron O'Toole spent a week talking about it and just shot himself, stepped on his own messages for a week. Why did he even have to respond? He's so thin-skinned. He's so easily provoked. Let me give Justin Trudeau credit. I think Justin Trudeau, by some measures, is really dumb. But by other measures, he's got an emotional, there's IQ, intelligence quotient. Some people talk about EQ, emotional quotient. I think it's sort of a mumbo-jumbo phrase. But there is something to it. There's people who are book smart, and then there's other people who are people smart, emotionally smart. Dale Carnegie smart, how to win friends and influence people. You know it when you see it. Bill Clinton, the master of it. Tony Blair. Brian Mulroney had it. Brian Mulroney walked into a room smiling, and for that moment he talked to you, you felt like the most important person in the world. Conrad Black has it in his own way. I've been in his house recently, but a few years ago I was there, and I saw him meet some 17-year-old kid. And he asked the kid a few questions, and he learned that the kid was, I think, involved in some Navy reserves or something. And then he just started really talking to the kid about something the kid knew about, and he made the kid feel great. And this kid, who was 17 and sort of shy and nervous, was engaging with Lord Black of Cross Harbor. And for that few minutes, that kid felt like he was the most important guy in the world. That's EQ. Justin Trudeau has something like that. I don't think Justin Trudeau is smart, and I don't think Justin Trudeau could have a conversation about technical things, but he knows how to make people feel good. He's a feelings guy. I think it's getting a little bit worn out because I think people feel betrayed. They're in love with him, and then when they fall out of love with him, they have sort of that hatred that you have sometimes. Look at Selena Cesar-Chauvin. I mean, when people fall out of love with Trudeau, there's no middle ground with the guy. You love him until you realize he's a fraud. He's a Lothario. He's a pickup artist. He really is a pickup artist. But let me tell you one thing Justin Trudeau does right. He never apologizes. Except for he'll apologize for you. He'll apologize for Canada. When he apologized to Omar Khadr, it was for Canada. I'm sorry Canada did this to you. Never apologized for himself. But the thing Justin Trudeau does best is he stays on his message. You would never in a million years see Justin Trudeau throwing away his script, throwing away his media plan because some conservative on Twitter was mean to him. But Aaron O'Toole does that. Aaron O'Toole was so triggered by Andrew Coyne, the liberal, I think he's at the Globe and Mail, saying something mean to him that he said, oh my God, I've got to win him over. And he threw out his whole script. And a few left-wing global warming activists say, oh, you got to buy into our view on global warming. And so he throws his whole party out. He says, you party people have to change. Justin Trudeau would never take advice from a conservative. He would never acknowledge that conservatives exist. Nathan Pino donated $10. Doctors need to remember their oaths before giving out vaccines to do no harm, because it is known the so-called vaccines for COVID-19 do harm people. Well, what's so strange is that the rules change and the advice changes so frequently. I'm not just talking about mask, no mask, travel, no travel, whatever. AstraZeneca, oh, it's fine for everyone. Oh, it's only fine for people under 65. Oh, but it's not fine for people under 55. So if your age is 55 to 64, it's healthy for you. This isn't me saying this. This is some Canadian board of, immuno something or other. I forget the board. It's a government board. So those 10 years, if you're 54, it's dangerous. If you're 55, it's safe. Safe for a few years, and then when you're 64, it's safe, but if you're 65, it's dangerous. Would you take that medicine? Like, I'm 49. if someone said there's a drug that works from 40 to 49, those 10 years, from 40 to, in your 40s, you can take this medicine when you're in your 40s, 40 to 49, but don't take it if you're 50. Okay, I'm 49 and I'm 49 and a little bit. So is it safe for me? Because in like 9 months or 10 months or whatever, I'm turning 50. Is it that precise, this warning, that it's okay when I'm 49 and a half, but no? How about if you're a day before 50? Or in this case, a day before 60. Like how precise, are you so sure? It's like, you know, expired food when it says best before, and you say, all right, if this is like something very perishable, I'm not going to risk it. But if it's something like canned, I don't know, there's some things in a can that can really last a long time, right? Like, give me an example. I don't know, canned soup. So let's say it's a month past expiry date. You really going to throw out that canned soup? Maybe you are. Depends. But you're probably going to say, you know what, if it's $1 or $2, I'm going to throw it out. I just want to be safe. Imagine we're talking about a vaccine rushed to market. People are dying from it, blood clots or whatever. And someone says, oh, no, trust us. We are so precisely sure that you're safe at age 64 but not at 65. Like if you had sliced cold cuts from the deli, you got to eat those in a couple days, right? Because, yeah, the day before. Like I like smoked turkey, but I'm not going to eat that past this best before day because, you know, it's a cold cut. It's like a petri dish in a way. It's like this, you can get what, listeriosis or salmon. I don't even know what these things are called. You know what? For a few bucks, I should have eaten it more. I'll buy less next time. You don't want to do something. You don't want to have things. Like I had Swiss Chalet the other day. I put it in the fridge afterwards. I wasn't done. Mrs. says, it's been here for 3 days. You want it? No, I don't want a 3-day-old Swiss Chalet. You know, say goodbye to that. If that's how you are with something that's a few bucks, how are you going to be when it's your life in the, I don't know. I just think it's nuts. I see today that they've approved one of these meds, I think it was Pfizer, on children as young as 12. Who the hell would let their child be a guinea pig? Hey, I'd like the $100 honorarium. Sure, you can use my child to do this experiment on. You can run this gene therapy experiment on my son. Who would do that? Someone desperately poor, I think. Metro Phillips donating $10. Sorry to hear about your demonetization. I love Rebel News, but I'm a frustrated Canadian because CBC, CTV, and Globalist News essentially copy and paste American nonsense from CNN instead of covering Canadian issues as they should. You're so right. The CBC talked more about Trump than about Trudeau. They still love talking about Trump. They talk about Americans because they can have the simulacrum of being skeptical and critical and speaking truth to power when it's Americans, although they're in love with Joe Biden. So now they're against Ron DeSantis in Florida, now they're against Texas, they're against Trump still, whatever. Yeah, Canadian media, first of all, they're obsessed with America because they want to be Americans so badly. Second of all, some of them think, the journalists, that they can actually graduate to work in America. And third of all, because if you take money from Justin Trudeau, you're not really allowed to criticize Justin Trudeau. So why not criticize Americans? Fraser McBurney, $8. Today was reported by Active Patriot UK that 145 invaders entered Britain in the port of Dover, aided by the French and British Border Patrol. This news was not broadcast in the UK. Now, how many are coming into Canada at Roxham Road? Hey, that's a good question about Roxham Road. We have done stories about these English Channel migrants, and I know Nigel Farage is on the case. Dara Tracer, 1994, $5. Do you think it's possible Trump inherited some of his genes from Tip O'Neill? I don't know. I didn't know they were related in any way. Maybe you mean his political approach. I just don't know enough about Tip O'Neill. I know he was a guy in the 70s and 80s. Daniel Hall donated $2.50. Pierre Poilievre is witty, charismatic, and articulate. I think he would be a superb prime minister. What do you think, Ezra? I agree. I wish he had run last time. I was rooting for him. I was disappointed he pulled out precipitously. I hate to say it, but I think that some proposed scandal was shown to him and said, if you run, we'll release this about you. That's the only thing I can explain for him pulling it so quickly. By the way, we have a little clip of Pierre on lockdowns. How long is that clip? Okay, why don't we play just a minute of it? Because Pierre was finally talking on lockdowns. Take a look at this.
Well, Madam Speaker, I want to share some good news with the House. The Seattle Mariners will host 9,000 fans. They just got approval from Washington State, a very progressive and woke state south of the border whose ideological inclinations are very similar to this government. And they have signed off on a safe plan, according to that state, to allow 9,000 fans to participate in a major sporting event in Seattle, no less. We got simultaneously the news that our Toronto Blue Jays are not going to be able to do anything similar. In fact, they put out a statement in which they said that though we had hoped for improvements in the public health outlook as we neared the 2021 baseball season, with the ongoing Canada-US border closure, we have made the difficult decision to play the first two homestands of the 2021 regular season at TD Ballpark in Florida. So the Floridian businesses will get all of the benefit of that major sporting event. Now, it is not just sporting events, Madam Speaker, that are reopening around the world. The Australians and New Zealanders are finalizing plans for quarantine-free travel across their borders between their two countries. And in Taiwan, which has pretty much the lowest COVID mortality rate on planet Earth, even though it is right next door to the country from whence COVID originated, I'm quoting here from the Brookings Institute, a progressive U.S. think tank, and I'm quoting, Taiwan has managed the spread of COVID-19 far better than most. It suffered only 7 deaths amongst its 23.5 million people in 2020. Except for a few short weeks of lockdown in March last year, life in Taiwan has been normal. Schools, offices, and restaurants have been open as usual, although with temperature screening, hand sanitizing, and social distancing. Live concerts by Yo-Yo Ma and performances of the Phantom of the Opera have attracted thousands of people into indoor arenas. Again, all of this with 7 deaths, not 7 deaths.
It's a great clip. You can find it online. I didn't catch that news that the Toronto team is playing in Florida. That is amazing. That is a testimony to Ron DeSantis, who's opened that place up, and he don't care. And they just extended it to June, Justin tells me. That's incredible. You know, we're rooted here in Canada. Our staff are Canadian. Our staff are married to Canadians. Kids are in Canadian schools. And our heart is Canadian. But I have to say that every day, Toronto's one of the most expensive cities in Canada, maybe next only to Vancouver. So you have some of the highest housing prices, the highest taxes, the worst mayor, the worst premier, the worst prime minister, all the amenities of the city that, oh, it's awesome, it's Toronto. All the restaurants are closed, all the theaters closed, all the shops are closed. Just stay at home, watch Netflix, and order in fast food. Why wouldn't you do that anywhere else? And if you want to live like a human, go to Florida. The Blue Jays are. I don't think Rebel News will ever move. I don't think we could. I think our ideological and editorial center is Canada. And I think we're Canadian patriots. We want to stay and fight for Canada. But every day I learn of more friends and colleagues is the wrong word, but people I know who say, if I'm just working from home anyways, why don't I go to Florida? Property's cheaper, weather's better, there's no snitch lines. Why would, if you could move, if you've got roots here, if your spouse has roots here, if your kids have roots here, you can't uproot. I think we're rooted here largely because this is where our news center is. This is the new, you can't report on Canadian news if you're based in Florida. So I think that inherently, genetically almost, Rebel News has to be in Canada. But that's an incredible, I did not hear that story about the Toronto Blue Jays playing out of Florida. Why are they even called the Toronto Blue? They should just be the Blue Jays, the North American Blue Jays. You know what? That is incredible. And congratulations to Ron DeSantis. He should put up a billboard in Toronto saying, thank you, John Tory, Thank you, Doug Ford. Thank you, Justin Trudeau. You're the Florida Chamber of Commerce Men of the Year. Because how many other businesses have they pushed down there? Crazy. All right, let me hurry up here with the Super Chats. Jim donated $40. Ezra, you won't make it as a singer. Hold on to your day job. You're right. I think unless you're a professional singer or like really good, sing in the shower and in the car by yourself, right? And I'm sorry that I've done otherwise. Sometimes the music moves me. What am I going to do? But you're right, Jim. COVID-1984 donated $50. Thanks, you guys. What will it take to end this lockdown madness and get everything open again as well as unrestricted travel to the U.S.? 2 weeks to flatten the curve, turn into 12 months. Does this just carry on indefinitely? Hey, I did a tweet yesterday. I retweeted that Gina, what's her name, Karan, is that her name? And you know who I'm talking about? She was the Star Wars actress who was bumped out of Star Wars because she said something unwoke and she was canceled. She's an MMA fighter. I think she's sort of great. Like, she's tough but pretty, and she's I don't know much about her at all, but what I know I like. And she didn't bend the knee or grovel. And so she retweeted Justin Trudeau, and it was just with a meme. Justin Trudeau was going on about how about his COVID jails, and Gina Carano of Star Wars fame just retweeted him with just a little reaction tweet, like one of those little gifs of funny faces. Anyway, if you can find it, let's put it up there. It was just great. Here it is. Let's take a look. Yeah, so there's Trudeau. If your results come back negative for COVID-19, you'll be able to head home and finish your mandatory quarantine there. If your test results come back positive, you'll need to immediately quarantine in designated government facilities. This is not optional. And so just scroll up a little bit. You can see Gina Carano, sorry. And it's just, look at that. You know, that cat, there's Clint Eastwood, that girl. Oh, there's some funny, there's Captain Jack Sparrow. Oh, it's, you know, she says so much, but so how many retweets or likes did she get on that one there? 9,000 likes. Yeah, the whole world is saying, yeah, Justin Trudeau, you're a little kooky. Humongous donated $4. Any clues as to where one goes to find when, where lockdown protests happen in BC? I don't know. Maybe there's Facebook pages. For all I know, Facebook deletes them, though. Brackether donated $5. One CBC pundit whose opinion I value is Chantal Hébert. She and others have said that anti-climate change policy is what did in Andrew Scheer. I've always said this is not the hill to die on for Conservatives. The problem with O'Toole is cancel culture. Well, I showed you the other day a PCO, a Privy Council office poll that Canadians just don't care about global warming. The number in the last year has gone between 3% and 6%, margin of error 3%. No one cares. No one's talking about it. No one. It's why Greta's so lonely. No one gives a damn. We're in a lockdown. We're in a civil liberties crisis. We're in an economic crisis. We have a foreign affairs crisis. We have a lot of crises. No one cares about global warming. Sorry, it's just a made-up thing that, you know, and by the way, Chantal Hébert, can you Google it? Chantal Hébert Trudeau Foundation. I want to put the proof on the screen. How is it that panel on CBC, you've got Althea Raj, Justin Trudeau's official biographer, Andrew Coyne, who's actually related by marriage to Trudeau, and then you've got Chantal Hébert, who's a Trudeau Foundation scholar. So all three people on this independent panel with the entire spectrum of opinions from A to B, they're all, yeah, Chantal Hébert. So this is from the Trudeau Foundation. Chantal Hébert is with the Trudeau Foundation. I don't know what her affiliation is today, but how can you be part of the Trudeau Foundation and not disclose that when you're talking about Trudeau? I don't get it. Music by Candlelight donated $10. Have you heard my musical composition on YouTube channel? Music by Candlelight. I did with your footage of Pastor James Coates being released and of the current Myanmar crisis. Song is A World in Tears. Was the footage okay to have been used copyright-wise? Well, without reviewing it, I can't answer. But it sounds interesting, and hopefully it was copyright compliant. Media Juif donated $8. Is that you, Yankee? My fridge is broken, so I called Service 2000 to schedule a house call. They just called me back saying we won't be able to come to this zip code due to the fear of COVID. Lady Rep explained we simply cannot take the chance. Power of fake news or dictatorship. I don't know what Service 2000 is, but that sounds like BS. I don't know if this is a government service or a corporate service, but that sounds like an excuse to me. You know, I want to tell you, a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, and it was still cold in March, my furnace conked out. And it was still very cold in the house. And like it was freezing outside. So I called the furnace guy. And he did not want to come. I was in Nanaimo for a couple of days, and he said, "Oh, Nanaimo." I think he thought that was like an exotic. I don't think he had heard of Nanaimo. I think he thought it was a place in Japan or China. This was like literally the week COVID started, and he thought I was coming. I'm not trying to make fun of the guy. I just don't think he had ever heard of Nanaimo before, and he thought it was maybe a Chinese city or something. So he did not want to come to my house to fix the furnace. And when he came, he wanted me like to stand so very far back. And he came in almost like in scuba gear. He was terrified. And this was a 60-year-old guy, real life guy, furnace fixer. Like that's a real guy. That's not a fancy pants. That's not like some woke political guy. He was terrified. Now, that was a year ago. It sounds like you're having the same thing now. There's no excuse now for that. I mean, back then, everything was new and terrifying. And he thought that going to a place as exotic as Nanaimo, I would be. Anyway, I'm just telling you a story. Carousel Red donated $4. Thank you for that. All right, I don't think I have too much else going on. Although I want to show you, I want to close. We've talked about CBC a bit. I want to show you a miracle. In fact, it's so miraculous that it may be over now. Like a double full rainbow. Remember that old video? The guy who saw a double rainbow? Do you know what? Can we play that for 10 seconds just to show people? A beautiful like I just love that video. I haven't watched it in 5 years, 10 years. But it's a guy who sees a double rainbow for the first time. And he has a religious experience. And it's beautiful. And he's not faking it. And I just want to show that because I feel like what I'm about to show you on the CBC website is as rare and miraculous as a double rainbow. Take a look at this guy.
My gosh, it is a double rainbow. I cannot believe it. It's a freaking double rainbow. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Look at that. All the way. Oh my heck. It's a double rainbow. Hey Cal, look at that. It's a double rainbow. Oh my gosh. It's a double. Hey Cal, where you going? It's a double rainbow. Look, it goes all the way. Oh gosh. I can't believe it.
I've seen another guy have a similar reaction. That wasn't actually one I thought of, but that was really nice, wasn't it? That is amazing. You would want to share that with someone, and if there was no one around other than the cows, you would try and point it out to the cow. You really would. The other one I saw was even the guy started to cry. He started to cry, and he kept saying, "What does it mean? What does it mean?" And I won't. Don't look for it now, but you know what? You'll get a kick out of it. In fact, maybe Google it. Double rainbow. What does it mean? I mean, it was just so beautiful. I mean, that one was fun. But there's another one of a guy who had a religious experience.
Double rainbow.
This is the one
Oh
I can
my
hear.
God. It's a double rainbow all the way. Whoa, that's so intense. Whoa, man. Wow. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Woo! Oh! Wow! Woo! Yeah! Oh my! Oh my! Oh my God! Look at that! It's starting to even look like a triple rainbow. Oh my God! It's full on double rainbow all the way across the sky. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh God! What does this mean? Oh! my God. Ah! Oh!
What does it mean? And I don't want to hear any scientific explanations. He had a religious moment there. He was open to meaning. And we're having fun because, the pure joy in his voice and the feeling of revelation and purification. That's why you don't have to stay locked up in your house, folks. That's why not everything is, we were watching that on YouTube. But imagine being outside, the things you can see when you leave your house and turn off the Netflix and ignore the lockdown police. That was actually beautiful. The guy, there's a small chance, like maybe 1 in 1,000, that there was some pharmaceuticals involved there. There's a mountain, I think he was camping. There's a teeny tiny chance that he was, had some mind-altering drugs involved. But if I saw a full double rainbow, maybe a triple rainbow, in a beautiful setting like that, I would think that there was something special there. And by special, perhaps supernatural, perhaps it was a moment. You can imagine if in an earlier era, a biblical person saw such a thing. Would that have been regarded as a biblical miracle? I don't know. I'm not smart about those things. But I want to show you my version of what does it mean? It's a double rainbow. Let me read to you this story on the CBC. Lawyer for Yellowknife pub charged with COVID-19 violation vows to, quote, fight the fine. It's almost as if it's become a crime to not be fearful of this so-called pandemic. And then there's a pub there. The Monkey Tree Pub in Yellowknife is challenging a $5,175 fine from the Northwest Territories government that alleges they violated public health orders. Okay, let's read a little bit of the story, just a little bit. A Yellowknife pub is getting a few more weeks to mount its case against a $5,175 fine for violating the Northwest Territories public health orders. The Monkey Tree Pub was supposed to enter a plea in court Tuesday morning, but Judge Robert Gorin adjourned the case to May 4th. Star Wars. So both sides would have more time to review the facts. That's always a good idea. Facts first, then court. A lot of people, you'd be surprised, get that mixed up. Gorin noted a conflict in the case, but not because he is a regular patron of the Monkey Tree. Already I'm enjoying this story. But here's the part that's a miracle. It's just a minute ahead. Jen Vorenbrock, one of the pub's owners, told CBC in a previous interview that the ticket is related to a liquor inspection from November 14th. Pub's dance floor was operational. Well, if I was in Yellowknife at the Monkey Tree, you'd bet I'd be dancing double rainbow. That's in violation of the Northwest Territories' Emerging Wisely plan, which states that dance floors must stay closed in dine-in restaurants and bars. Businesses can apply for exemptions for those rules, which are evaluated by the Northwest Territory government on a case-by-case basis. And then here's the double rainbow. The pub is being represented by Toronto lawyer Josh Halpern, who is working closely with conservative media outlet Rebel News on the Fight the Fines campaign. This case is directly related to the campaign, he said. Halpern said he's hoping to settle the case outside of court, but is ready to mount a constitutional case if the Northwest Territories government continues to push ahead. Quote, it's almost as if it's become a crime to not be fearful of this so-called pandemic, Halpern told the CBC, as if we don't have enough anxiety in our regular day-to-day lives, unquote. You would think that these government officials are describing a gruesome crime scene, he said. Empty bottles, people swaying left or right. Yeah, it's a bar. This is just your neighborhood small business trying to survive. In an email, a spokesperson for the territory said there has so far only been one business charged. Since the case is still before the courts, no further comment. Well, first of all, thank you. It is a double rainbow miracle that something so, I'm not even going to say neutral, I'm going to say that's slightly positive. Or I'm going to say it's neutral. That's a neutral story, right? That's neutral. It's just telling the facts. And they call us Rebel News, a conservative site. They don't say those fascist right-wingers that we hate. It's just a conservative news site. That's right. And incredibly, and I didn't point it out, they link to Fight the Fines, right? Like it's a hyperlink. In fact, if you got a minute, put it back up there. I want to show people that click on that. Incredible. Double rainbow. What does it mean? You see Fight the Fines is in blue? Click on it. Why, ain't that a miracle? Ain't that a miracle? That's a miracle. And I got to say, Josh Halpern gave some pretty good quotes there, I thought. Don't you? Like that I have to say, that surprised me. That's a double rainbow miracle right there, too. Anyways, that's great. So what does it mean, double rainbow? I don't know. But I'm happy to just to be alive, you know. Double rainbow. Okay, let me just get the last super chat here. Thanks, everybody, for being so generous. Not Flying Dutchman donated $4. In defense of your furnace repairman, Menzies looked pretty weird in his hazmat get-up airport videos from early in the pandemic. Glad all of you have pretty much dispensed with a mask and other fear-based nonsense. Yeah, well, you know, and I accept your point. I accept your point. I guess I was just sort of mad because it was so, I want to tell you, it was dumb. And you don't want to do this, but I would put big pots of water on my stove and I would heat them up so they would sort of boil and the steam would go. That's how cold my house was. And I know you're not supposed to use your stove to heat the house. So I thought, well, I'll put the water on and the water will boil. It was extremely cold. You call the furnace guy and he says, I'm not coming because you were just in Nanaimo. You know, and I didn't want to get mad at him because I just wanted the furnace fixed. So, but you are right. Back then, everyone took precautions. No one knew what was happening. Is this the new bubonic plague, black plague? I don't know. Well, it's 1:14. What a pleasure to be with you. Thank you to everybody who participated in our workaround super chats using Streamlabs. And were there any super chats on the Clips channel? There was one. Thank you for that also. So we are working to fight the demonetization as best we can. I thank you for helping us with that. I got a show tonight on Ontario's digital ID, which will have your vaccine info on it. I didn't know that until I said, did you know that? Did you hear about that till last night? And something called Amazon Palm, where you literally use your handprint to pay for things. How do you feel about that? How long before those are going to merge? Like 5 minutes from now, or maybe they've already merged? That's tonight at 8 p.m. I'd love it if you joined. It's 8 Eastern time. It's $8 a month to become what we call a Rebel News Plus subscriber. You get my show every night, and you get Sheila Gunn-Reid's show, David Menzies' show, Andrew Chapito's show. Those are weekly shows. And like the Super Chat, it's a way to support us. All right, that's the show for today. Do we have a dog vid? We do have a dog video, and this is from Sheila. I think this is Sheila's dog? Her dog hates the lockdowns, and here's proof. I'll say goodbye now. Here's Sheila's dog.
Marky, what's making you mad? Who's on TV making you mad?
Yeah, I noticed one of my colleagues published something
I know.
about the detecting of it in
She's the
St.
worst.
Paul's. And yes, the